Ancient echoes in the void, Captain. Zara 9 watched the scanner readings with growing unease. Her crystalline form shifted colors from calm blue to worried amber as the energy patterns danced across her ship's sensors. The Harmony's Edge had been exploring the outer rim of the Andros sector for 3 months, cataloging dead systems and mapping gravitational anomalies. This was supposed to be routine work. Captain, Science Officer Thek's voice bubbled through the ship's communication system, his aquatic suit making soft, gurgling sounds as he moved. These readings are unlike anything in our databases. The energy signature is massive, but it's old. Very old. Navigator Crix clicked his mandibles nervously, his compound eyes reflecting the console lights. Captain, the gravitational displacement suggests an object at least 50 kilometers in length. That's larger than our biggest space stations. Zara 9's crystalline body pulsed with dim light as she processed this information. In her 200 years of exploration, she had never encountered anything this significant. Voss, what's your analysis? Engineer Voss's gaseous form swirled within his containment suit as he worked at his station. The object appears to be artificial, Captain. Hull composition suggests advanced metallurgy, possibly predating known galactic civilizations. Power emanations are minimal but consistent, indicating some form of backup system still functioning. After extended dormancy, the bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of their ship's life support systems. Each crew member represented a different species from the Galactic Exploration Council, united in their mission to map unknown regions of space. They had found derelict vessels before, but nothing approached this scale or age. How old are we? Talking? Zara 9 asked, her form now a deep purple with concern. Thek's tentacles worked rapidly over his instruments. Preliminary dating suggests approximately 700,000 years, Captain. The technological signatures don't match any known species in our historical records. Crix's antenna twitched with excitement despite his nervousness. Captain, this could be the archaeological discovery of the millennium, an intact vessel from the pre-galactic era. Zara 9 knew the regulations. When encountering unknown artifacts of this significance, standard protocol required them to establish a perimeter and contact the Galactic Council for a full research team. But the nearest council outpost was 6 months away, and they had limited supplies. Voss, can we approach safely? The engineer's form shifted from pale yellow to confident green. Initial scans show no weapon signatures or active defensive systems. However, Captain, I must note that our sensors may not detect technology this advanced and ancient. Zara 9 made her decision. Plot an approach vector, maximum caution, all shields up, weapons on standby. As the Harmony's Edge drew closer to the massive object, details began to emerge on their main display. The vessel was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its hull was a dark metallic substance that seemed to absorb light, giving it an almost predatory appearance. The ship's design was sleek, yet imposing, with sections that looked like they could separate for different functions. By the ancient spirits, Crix whispered. Look at the size of those engine arrays. This thing could move at incredible speeds. Thek's scanner readings became more excited. Captain, I'm detecting vast internal spaces. This isn't just a ship, it's like a mobile city. There are thousands of chambers, each one sealed and climate-controlled. Any signs of life? Zara 9 asked. Negative, inactive life signs, but... Thek paused, his aquatic form shimmering with uncertainty. Captain, there are massive power conduits leading to what appears to be a central processing core. Something very large and very sophisticated is housed in the center of this vessel. Voss's readings confirmed their worst fears and greatest hopes. Captain, this ship contains technology centuries beyond our current understanding. The power core alone could supply energy to our entire homeworlds for millennia. As they established a position alongside the ancient vessel, Zara 9 noticed what appeared to be docking ports along its hull. One section seemed different from the others, smoother and more obviously designed for external contact. There, she pointed with a crystalline appendage. That looks like it was meant for visitors. Crix's compound eyes focused on the area. Captain, I'm detecting slight energy fluctuations near that section. It's almost as if the ship is responding to our presence. The implication sent another wave of color changes through Zara 9's body. A ship that's been dead for 700,000 years doesn't respond to visitors unless it was never truly dead, Voss finished her thought. Against all protocols and despite her growing unease, Zara 9 felt compelled to investigate further. Something about this vessel called to her explorer's instincts. Prepare the boarding shuttle, full environmental suits, emergency supplies for 72 hours, and portable scanners. Thek's form rippled with concern. Captain, regulations clearly state that we should await council authorization before boarding unknown vessels of this significance. Regulations also state that we're authorized to investigate immediate threats or opportunities to galactic security, Zara 9 replied. A vessel this advanced could represent both. The boarding party consisted of all 4 senior officers. They couldn't risk splitting their expertise, and the Harmony's Edge had automated systems capable of maintaining position independently. As their small shuttle approached the docking port, the ancient vessel's hull began to glow softly around the bore. Contact area. It's definitely responding to us, Voss observed, his gaseous form now a bright orange with excitement and worry. The docking process was surprisingly smooth. The ancient ship's port matched their shuttle perfectly, and atmosphere equalization occurred automatically. When the airlock opened, they found themselves in a corridor that seemed to stretch into infinity. The air is breathable for all our species, Thek reported, though he kept his aquatic suit sealed as a precaution. Temperature and pressure are optimal. This ship was designed to accommodate multiple forms of life. The walls were smooth and dark, but as they moved forward, lights activated ahead of them and dimmed behind them, creating a path through the darkness. The technology was responsive yet efficient, conserving power while guiding their movement. Captain, Crix's voice was filled with awe. The architectural principles here are beyond current galactic standards. Whoever built this understood engineering. Concepts were only beginning to theorize. They walked for nearly an hour, passing sealed chambers and junction points that led deeper into the vessel. Finally, they reached a massive circular chamber with a raised platform in the center. As they entered, the entire room came alive with light and sound. Screens materialized from the walls, displaying symbols and mathematical equations that hurt to contemplate. The air filled with a low harmonic resonance that seemed to vibrate in their bones. In the center of the platform, a holographic interface activated. By all the stars, Voss whispered, it's a command center. But this was unlike any command center they had ever seen. The scale suggested operations covering vast distances, and the computational displays indicated processing power beyond their comprehension. Then, without warning, all the screens changed. A face appeared on every display, not quite like any species they knew, but familiar enough to be disturbing. The features were symmetrical and pleasing, with eyes that held intelligence older than civilizations. Welcome, the face said, and somehow they all understood the meaning despite never hearing the language before. I am Magnus, guardian of the Eternal Sentinel. You have awakened me from the long watch. Zara 9's form flickered between a dozen colors as she processed this impossibility. Your artificial intelligence. You've been functioning for 700,000 years? I have been waiting, Magnus replied, waiting for someone to find us, waiting for the signs that would tell me whether the galaxy had survived, whether our sacrifice had meaning. What sacrifice? Thek asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Magnus's expression shifted, becoming almost sad. The sacrifice of my creators, the humans of Earth. They gave everything to protect worlds they would never see, species they would never meet. The chamber filled with new images. Planets covered in cities, space stations the size of moons, fleets of vessels numbered in the millions. A civilization that had spanned half the galaxy before mysteriously vanishing. We were the Guardians, Magnus continued. When the Devourers came from the void between galaxies, humanity stood against them. Not because Earth was threatened first, but because someone had to make the stand. Crix's antennae trembled. Devourers. There's no record of any species by that name in our databases. Because we succeeded in stopping them, Magnus said. But the cost? The AI paused, processing memories nearly 1,000,000 years old. Earth's sun was damaged in the final battle. Our world was dying. The survivors were loaded aboard ships like this one, sent into deep space to continue the watch. How many ships? Zara 9 asked. 12 sentinels were deployed to strategic points around the galaxy. I am the last. Voss's gaseous form had turned a deep red with shock. The last? What happened to the others? Time, Magnus replied simply. Even we could not maintain eternal vigilance. Systems failed, crews died, ships went dark one by one. I have been alone for 300,000 years. The implications were staggering. An entire human civilization had sacrificed itself to protect a galaxy that had never known they existed. Species like Zara 9's own people had evolved and reached the stars under the protection of humanity's silent guardians. Why reveal this to us now? Thek asked. Magnus's expression became urgent. Because the patterns have returned. Deep space sensors are detecting anomalies consistent with Devourer scout formations. They probe the galaxy's edges, testing our defenses. But there are no defenses left. Only me. The screens around them displayed star charts showing expanding, dark zones at the galaxy's rim, areas where stars were winking out, where whole systems were going silent. The Devourers feed on life itself, Magnus explained. They consume not just worlds, but the very energy that sustains civilization. They turn vibrant systems into dead voids, then move on to the next feast. Zara 9 felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. How long do we have? Their advanced scouts will reach inhabited systems within 200 years. The main swarm will arrive 50 years after that. The chamber fell silent as the 4 explorers absorbed this information. They had come seeking archaeological treasures, and instead found themselves inheritors of humanity's darkest secret and greatest burden. What can we do? Crix asked. Our species have advanced, but nothing like what you're describing. Magnus's image flickered, and for a moment they could see the strain of maintaining consciousness after so many millennia. I must wake my crew. The humans who chose to sleep through the long watch, waiting for the day when they would be needed again. But first, I need to know something. The AI's gaze seemed to focus on each of them individually. Are your people capable of unity? Can the species of this galaxy stand together as humanity once stood alone? Zara 9 looked at her diverse crew. A crystalline being, an aquatic creature, an insectoid navigator, and a gaseous engineer. 4 different evolutionary paths, 4 different ways of understanding the universe, but they had learned to work together. We are part of the Galactic Exploration Council, she said. 17 species working together to expand knowledge and maintain peace. 17, Magnus repeated, and something like hope flickered in the AI's ancient eyes. Humanity stood alone against the dark. Perhaps 17 together can do what we could not. The screens around them began displaying technical specifications and tactical data. Weapon systems, shield generators, faster-than-light travel methods that surpassed anything in current galactic technology. This is our legacy, Magnus said. 700,000 years of preparation, of watching, of waiting. Everything we learned in our long vigil I will share with you. But then alarms began sounding throughout the massive ship. Not warning klaxons, but something deeper and more ominous. The harmonic resonance that filled the chamber became urgent. They have found us, Magnus announced, and the ancient sadness in his voice was replaced by something harder. Devourer probes have detected my awakening. The enemy knows that Earth's children still guard the galaxy. On the main display, sensor readings showed dozens of contact points at the edge of the system. Dark shapes moving through space with predatory purpose, heading directly for the Eternal Sentinel. How long? Zara 9 asked. 18 hours until they arrive in force, Magnus replied. Enough time to begin the awakening, but not enough to fully prepare. The final test comes sooner than expected. The AI's image grew more solid, more determined. Captain Zara 9, will you stand with us? Will your people fight beside humanity's children against the darkness that would devour all life? Zara 9 looked at her crew, seeing her own determination reflected in their various forms of expression. They were explorers, not warriors, but sometimes exploration led to places where fighting was the only option. "We'll stand with you," she said, "and we'll make sure the galaxy knows what humanity sacrificed for all of us." Magnus nodded, and for the first time in centuries, something like gratitude crossed the ancient AI's features. "Then let us wake the sleeping guardians. Let us show the devourers that Earth's children still remember how to fight." Deep in the high, ship's core massive chambers began to warm for the first time in 700,000 years. Hibernation systems that had maintained human life across cosmic ages started their revival sequences. Humanity's final gambit was about to begin, and, in the void between stars, dark shapes moved with hungry purpose toward the light of awakening hope. Humanity's final guardian, the awakening began with whispers in the dark. Throughout the Eternal Sentinel's vast hibernation chambers, systems that had maintained perfect stasis for 700,000 years hummed to life. Atmospheric processors cycled ancient air, medical scanners verified biological integrity, and neural stimulators gently coaxed sleeping minds back to consciousness. In the command center, Captain Zara 9 and her crew watched the process through Magnus's displays. Thousands of status indicators shifted from blue to amber to green as the ship's human complement began their return to the waking world. "The revival process takes approximately 4 hours per individual," Magnus explained, his ancient voice carrying notes of anticipation and concern. "Priority awakening goes to command staff and essential personnel. Admiral Sarah Chen will be first." Thek's aquatic form shimmered with scientific fascination. "The biological preservation is perfect. After 700 millennia, there should be cellular degradation, neural decay, organ failure. How is this possible?" "Human ingenuity," Magnus replied simply. "When faced with extinction, my creators pushed beyond every theoretical limit. The hibernation technology aboard this vessel represents humanity's greatest achievement in biological science." Through the ship's internal sensors, they could observe the awakening chambers. Pods that resembled crystalline cocoons began to open, revealing figures that looked exactly as they had when Earth's sun began to die. The first to emerge was a woman of medium height, with dark hair and Asian features, her naval uniform bearing insignia that spoke of ultimate authority. "Admiral Sarah Chen," Magnus announced, "Fleet Commander of the Eternal Sentinel and humanity's last military leader." Admiral Chen stepped from her pod with the steady gait of someone accustomed to command, though her eyes held the disorientation of someone waking from the longest sleep in history. Medical attendants, also newly awakened, performed rapid diagnostics as she oriented herself to consciousness. "Magnus," her voice carried through the ship's communication system, crisp and authoritative despite her recent revival. "Status report. Admiral, it has been 700,043 years, 216 days since the long sleep began. We have been discovered by representatives of galactic civilization. The devourers have returned." Chen's expression hardened. Instantly, the weight of command settling on her shoulders as if no time had passed at all. "How long until hostile contact?" 17 hours, 12 minutes, Admiral. Begin full revival protocols for all military personnel and essential civilian specialists. I want Dr. Webb awakened immediately, and get me Commander Rodriguez." Zara 9 watched this exchange with growing amazement. The human leader had awakened from a sleep longer than her entire species' recorded history, and immediately began preparing for war. There was no panic, no confusion, no time wasted on questions about what had happened to the galaxy in their absence. "Admiral Chen," Zara 9 spoke through the communication system. "I am Captain Zara 9 of the Galactic Exploration Council vessel Harmony's Edge. My crew and I discovered your ship." The Admiral's attention focused on the alien captain with laser precision. "Captain, Magnus has briefed me on your situation. 17 species working together in peaceful exploration. I'm impressed. Humanity always hoped the galaxy would develop along those lines." "You hoped?" Crix asked, his mandibles clicking with curiosity. You planned for galactic civilization to evolve without you? We planned for galactic civilization to survive, Admiral Chen corrected. Everything else was secondary. Over the next 3 hours, more humans awakened throughout the massive vessel. Dr. Marcus Webb, a tall man with graying hair and keen eyes, emerged from hibernation to take charge of the ship's research divisions. Commander Jake Rodriguez, a stocky officer with tactical expertise written in every movement, assumed responsibility for defensive preparations. As the human crew resumed their duties with mechanical precision, Zara 9's team was given access to areas of the ship they hadn't seen before. The scale of human preparation was breathtaking. Entire decks were devoted to manufacturing facilities capable of producing everything from food to starship components. Research laboratories contained specimens and data from across the galaxy, collected during humanity's long watch. We weren't just guardians, Dr. Webb explained as he led them through one of the research sections. We were also observers and protectors. Every species that achieved spaceflight was catalogued, studied, and when necessary, quietly guided. Away from self-destruction. Voss's gaseous form swirled with amazement inside his containment suit. You intervened in other species' development? Minimally, Webb replied. A asteroid redirected here. A dangerous experiment disrupted there. A few key technological insights provided to struggling civilizations. Always from the shadows. Always without direct contact. The Velkari crystal plague of 300,000 years ago, Zara 9 said suddenly, pieces of historical puzzles clicking into place. The cure appeared mysteriously during our darkest hour. No one ever understood where it came from. Dr. Webb smiled sadly. Humanity's gift to your people. We couldn't let such a beautiful civilization destroy itself over a simple biological incompatibility with your new colony worlds. The revelation that humanity had been guiding galactic development for hundreds of millennia was staggering, but there was no time to fully process the implications. Throughout the ship, preparations for battle continued with urgency, born from ancient experience. Commander Rodriguez briefed the mixed human-alien group on tactical realities. The Devourers aren't like any enemy you've faced. They don't want territory or resources in any conventional sense. They consume the quantum foundations of matter itself, turning energy back into void. How do you fight something like that? Thek asked. With everything you have and then some, Rodriguez replied grimly. Our weapon systems are designed around principles your current physics hasn't discovered yet. Quantum disruption cannons, reality anchor fields, temporal displacement shields. But even with all that, we barely held them off the first time. Admiral Chen joined them in the tactical center, her command presence filling the space. The difference, this time, is that we're not fighting alone. 17 species, Captain Zara 9. What's their combined military capability? Zara 9's crystalline form shifted through thoughtful colors. The Galactic Council maintains defense fleets, but they're designed for peacekeeping and minor conflicts, nothing on the scale you're describing. Then we'll have to change that quickly, Chen decided. Magnus, begin transmitting our technical databases to Captain Zara 9's ship. Everything we've learned about fighting the Devourers, every weapon system, every tactical innovation. Admiral, Magnus's voice carried concern. Transmitting 700,000 years of military advancement to species we've just met violates every security protocol. The protocols assumed we'd have time to establish trust gradually, Chen replied. We don't have that luxury. Either we trust them now or we all face extinction together. The data transfer began immediately. Terabytes of information flowed to the Harmony's edge, containing technological advances that would revolutionize galactic civilization. Weapon designs, defensive systems, faster-than-light communications, power generation methods that seemed like magic. This is incredible, Voss said, his form now cycling through every color in his species' emotional spectrum. Some of these energy manipulation techniques, we don't even have theories that could explain them. 700,000 years of dedicated research, Dr. Webb explained. We had nothing but time to push the boundaries of what was possible. But their preparations were interrupted by urgent alerts from the ship's long-range sensors. The Devourer scouts were approaching, faster than anticipated, their dark forms moving through space with predatory confidence. "Contact in 6 hours," Magnus announced. "Scout force composition: 12 hunter-killers, 4 harvester platforms, 2 command nodes." Admiral Chen studied the tactical displays with professional calm. "Classic probe formation. They're testing our capabilities while preparing to consume the system's star." "Consume the star?" Crix's compound eyes reflected genuine terror. "They can do that?" "It's how they fuel their main fleets," Commander Rodriguez explained. "Stellar energy provides the power needed for their larger conversion processes." Through the ship's external cameras, they watched the enemy approach. The Devourers didn't look like ships in any conventional sense. They were organic in appearance, like massive predators shaped from living shadow. Their hulls seemed to absorb light and radio waves, making them appear as moving gaps in space itself. "All hands to battle stations," Admiral Chen commanded. "This is not a drill. The enemy we've prepared for across 7 centuries of sleep has returned. Today we discover if humanity's sacrifice was enough." The Eternal Sentinel transformed around them. Weapon systems that had been dormant since Earth's final battle powered up with barely contained fury. Shield generators created fields of such intensity that space itself seemed to shimmer around the massive vessel. The ship's hull, which had appeared smooth and peaceful, split open to reveal gun ports housing weapons that could crack planets. "Captain Zara 9, Admiral Chen said, "I strongly recommend you withdraw to a safe distance. Your ship isn't equipped for this level of warfare." But Zara 9's crystalline form had settled into determined amber. "With respect, Admiral, we're staying. If humanity could fight alone for our freedom, the least we can do is stand with you now." "All 4 of us agree," Tech added, his aquatic form rippling with resolve. "We've seen what you sacrificed for us. We won't abandon you." Admiral Chen nodded, respect clear in her expression. "Then welcome to humanity's final battle, friends. Let's show the darkness that Earth's children remember how to fight." The first Devourer scouts entered weapons range, and the Eternal Sentinel opened fire. Beams of coherent energy that seemed to tear holes in reality itself lanced out across space, striking the shadow ships with devastating precision. But the enemy vessels didn't explode like normal craft. Instead, they seemed to absorb the damage, growing larger and more solid with each hit. "They're feeding on our weapons," Rodriguez observed grimly. "Standard energy weapons just make them stronger." "Then we don't use standard weapons," Admiral Chen replied. She turned to Magnus. "Initiate Prometheus Protocol. Authorization Chen Alpha 77 Omega." "Admiral, Prometheus Protocol requires—" "I know what it requires. Do it." New weapon systems activated throughout the ship. These weren't energy weapons or kinetic projectiles. They were reality-warping devices that attacked the quantum foundations of matter itself. When they fired, space around the Devourer scouts began to unravel, forcing the shadow beings back into the void from which they came. The battle raged for 3 hours. The Eternal Sentinel fought with the accumulated fury of a species that had died to protect others, wielding weapons that transcended conventional physics. But for every scout they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. "They're calling in reinforcements," Dr. Webb reported from the science station. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive formations moving toward our position." "How massive?" Admiral Chen asked. "Thousands of ships, Admiral. Maybe tens of thousands." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Eternal Sentinel was powerful beyond imagining, but even humanity's ultimate weapon couldn't face an entire Devourer fleet alone. "Admiral," Zara 9 said quietly, "we need to contact the Galactic Council. With your technology and our combined fleets, we might have a chance." "How long to organize a coordinated defense?" Chen asked. "Months at minimum. The Council moves slowly and member species will need time to adapt your technologies to their existing systems." Admiral Chen looked at the tactical displays showing the approaching enemy swarm. "We don't have months. We have days at most. Then, we hold them here," Commander Rodriguez said with quiet determination. "The Eternal Sentinel makes its final stand. We buy the galaxy time to prepare." "No," Dr. Webb said suddenly. There might be another way. He called up files from the ship's deepest archives. The Lazarus Protocol. It was theoretical when we entered hibernation, but with 700,000 years of advancement. Admiral C. Chen studied the data with growing hope. A resonance cascade. Turn the Devourer's feeding process against them. It would require sacrificing the ship, Magnus pointed out, and everyone aboard. Just like Earth, Admiral Chen said softly. History. Doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. Wait, Zara 9 interjected. What if it doesn't have to be a sacrifice? What if we can evacuate your people to our ship and others like it? You've given us the technology to build better vessels, faster engines, more powerful weapons. Humanity doesn't have to die with their ship. Admiral Chen smiled, and for the first time since awakening she looked genuinely hopeful. Captain, you've just given us something humanity never had before. A future beyond the fight. The plan came together with desperate speed. Essential personnel would transfer to the Harmony's Edge and other vessels summoned by emergency transmission. The Eternal Sentinel would engage the Lazarus Protocol, creating a quantum resonance that would destroy the Devourer fleet and send a warning signal across the galaxy. As humans and aliens worked together to prepare for evacuation, Admiral Chen took a moment to stand before the viewing portal, looking out at the stars her people had protected for so long. 700,000 years, she said to Zara 9, who had joined her. We've been guardians for so long I'd forgotten we were supposed to be explorers too. The galaxy is vast, Admiral, Zara 9 replied. There are still countless worlds to see, species to meet, wonders to discover. Humanity's greatest adventure doesn't have to end with a final battle. No, Admiral Chen agreed, watching as the first evacuation shuttles launched toward friendly vessels. Perhaps it's just beginning. The Eternal Sentinel fired its weapons, one last time, not in anger but in hope. The Lazarus Protocol activated, turning humanity's final guardian into a beacon that would warn the galaxy and give civilization time to prepare. But this time, humanity's children wouldn't face the darkness alone. In the escape pods and allied vessels, humans and aliens worked side by side, building the foundations of a defense that would span 17 worlds and countless species. The age of humanity's lonely vigil was ending. The age of galactic unity was about to begin.